Welcome back. Tony Lombard says the Chief Minister's explanations as to why he will no longer be returning to the office of Mayor are simply not credible. Mr Lombard has issued a statement responding to the government's decision to replace him with Adolfo Canepa as Mayor of Gibraltar. According to Mr Lombard, the excuses spun by Fabian Picardo are wholly contrary to the huge number of reactions he has received. He says he was much looking forward to returning to City Hall, which would have been a privilege and a pleasure. For its part, the government says it notes a statement from Mr Lombard and recognises his deep disappointment in not being reappointed mayor. According to Number 6, the government considers it has acted entirely properly throughout, as a result of decisions reached by the cabinet as a whole and in the best interest of the whole community. In an effort to increase hotel occupancy and boost tourism, anyone getting married in Gibraltar will be forced to spend a night in Gibraltar. The only people exempted from this will be passengers and crews on passenger ships calling at the Rock. This follows the publication of a bill amending the Marriage Act. Last year, over 1,000 couples were married in Gibraltar.
Gibraltar is a popular jurisdiction for marriages. Made famous by John Lennon and Yoko Ono, residents and non-residents alike can, by means of a special licence, marry on the Rock without having to have lived here for any length of time, with only a working day's notice. The changes now intend to use this attraction to boost tourism. The proposed new legislation states that before the ceremony takes place, those getting married need to present proof that they have spent or will spend at least a night in Gibraltar immediately prior to or immediately following the ceremony. There is, however, one exception, and that's for passengers or crews of passenger ships. The bill also allows marriage ceremonies to take place on board passenger ships registered in Gibraltar. So far, civil marriage ceremonies held outside the registry could only take place in these approved venues: hotels, the Dell at the Botanic Gardens, the Mount, and the Mons Calpe Suite or top cable car station. Other than the benefits for tourism, the changes could also encourage ship registries. The publishing of the bill coincided with the Sunbourne opening its doors to the public and with the Development and Planning Commission giving a 5-star Marriott hotel outline planning permission.
The Hepatitis B vaccine will be provided to key workers in the public service. The government says this new service aims to protect those at risk, like GHA staff, prison workers, RGP officers and so on. Davina Barbara asked the Minister for Health, John Cortes, why the need to introduce this service.
Hepatitis B can be a dangerous condition. If you work in certain situations, for example, in care, in health, and other areas where you may be exposed to, for example, sewage and so on, you are susceptible to acquiring the virus. The service has been provided sporadically in years gone by, but the public service, until this initiative, which is about 2 weeks old, had not been protected. And therefore, as a result of a combination of work from the government's Central Human Resources Department, which feels that as an employer it needed to do it, the Director of Public Health, Dr. Kumar, who has for some years now been also providing information and advising that this should be introduced. So it's all come together now, and we've been able to start this service very, very recently.
The disease is prevented by the vaccine, but just how effective is the jab?
It's a vaccine against the disease. I myself have had it. It doesn't have any serious common side effects, and it protects the person quite effectively from acquiring hepatitis B, which can be an illness with considerable negative effects, and in very serious cases can be life-threatening.
Targeting key workers in the public service, but just what type of risks are they exposed to?
Well, a health worker, for example, could acquire an infection. It's spread by contact with body fluids. Somebody in the sewer, for example, could be exposed to that sort of thing. That's the sort of risk. Somebody working in emergency services who might come in contact with blood or whatever. So those are the key areas where it's recommended that this be provided. Up to now, the majority of these workers have not been protected. The system now will target all these workers and offer them the vaccine.
So not only good medical practice, but also a requirement under law. So why haven't we seen this service introduced before?
Well, I can tell you that I've been working on this with the Human Resources Department and Dr. Kumar for about a year. So it's something that was brought to my notice fairly early on, and it's taken this time to get the whole system set up. We had to provide a clinic. We had to identify the person who was going to be providing the service, and make sure that we had the funding in place to acquire the vaccines and so on. So it's taken this time. And obviously in future we will be able to have those key workers in the public sector properly protected, which is the right thing to do.
It's a service that's now offered to the key workers, up to them if they take it up or not, but what's the general feedback? Is it something they welcome?
Absolutely. Clearly you cannot force it on people. If people don't want to have it for whatever reason, they will sign saying, look, thank you, but I've declined it. But curiously enough, since this has been reported, I've actually been approached by a number of people who weren't in the list that was put out. The list that we put out was including these workers. Other people who thought that they were in a vulnerable situation have actually asked to have this extended to them. There won't be a problem. So I think it will be a good step which will be generally welcomed by the people concerned.
A former senior banking executive facing fraud charges has been remanded in custody after being charged with an additional count of false accounting. The former senior compliance officer at the Gibraltar branch of Lombard Odia, 50-year-old Andrew Smith, already faced one charge of fraud by abuse of position for allegedly stealing over €242,000 and £170,000. He will next appear at the Supreme Court on the 8th of April. A locally resident man has been sentenced to 1 year and 4 months in prison for stealing just over £74,000. 32-year-old Kevin Ball had pleaded guilty to 3 counts of theft of credit balances through his employment at the betting company William Hill. Mr Justice Black sentenced Kevin Ball to 2 years in prison, reduced by a third for his early guilty plea to 16 months. Over 50 people have taken part in Gibraltar's biggest ever hair donation for charity. Over the last few weeks, a group of local women have been encouraging the public to get involved in the event, and the response has been very positive. The Little Princess Trust provides real hair wigs to boys and girls across the UK that have sadly lost their own hair due to illnesses like alopecia or because of cancer treatments. Today, over 50 brave women and 1 man have donated to the charity, forming part of Gibraltar's biggest ever mass hair donation. The organisers were hoping to receive at least 10 volunteers, but the response from the public has been far greater, with 7 local salons taking part and volunteering their time to cut hair throughout the afternoon.
I'm just gobsmacked. It's been absolutely incredible. We've had so many likes on Facebook and we've had so many people turning up, and even today we've had people phoning up manically asking for slots. We've had to turn some people away, so it's been amazing. Really, really happy.
Oh, it's been really great. We've had lots of people that said they were coming, turning up on time, and some extra people have been coming in through the door as well and asking if they can have their hair cut, which we've been able to slot them in because we've had some spaces, and it's all going really well so far.
So great response.
Yeah, it's been really good. Everybody's really happy. Nobody's like crying because they've cut their hair or anything like that, so it's been good.
And you're in the seat now, so how many inches have you had cut off and how are you feeling?
I can't remember how 12.5 inches apparently it was. I feel great. It's been a long time since I've had short hair, so it's good, and to know that it's going to a good cause, it makes you feel better about it as well.
A minimum of 7 inches of hair is needed per donation. The hair is plaited and saved to send to the UK, where it's then processed and made into a wig. It's a big and sometimes emotional step for someone to take, so we spoke to some of those taking the plunge to find out why they thought it was important to take part.
Well, I think it's a good cause for charity and my hair will grow back and people need it more than me. So.
And you're donating quite a lot today, so how are you feeling? Are you nervous?
Yeah, it's been 3 years since I've had my hair really short, so I think I'm a bit nervous, yeah.
My friends convinced me, as I have long hair, they've always been telling me to cut it for this charity.
And you're having quite a lot cut off, so how are you feeling?
I'm really nervous. I've never had my hair so short.
Because it's an amazing cause. I have family who has alopecia, and it's dear to my heart, this cause. And also it's just, it's just hair. It'll grow back, so why not? For little girls and boys that need it, it'll be good for them.
Oh, I've always thought it's a great idea. I mean, when people come into the salon, they often want to donate their hair to various different charities in order to make in the wigs. The Princess Trust is a good one as well, and they require a less amount of hair. We just need to cut off a minimum of 7 inches. A lot of people are donating a lot more. The thing is, if they take 7 inches, it gives them a little bit of hair to play around with and make sure they've got the correct amount of hair that they need to actually make the wig. But people are very brave here today. My first client has had all her hair cut off, and I think everyone else is going to go down the same kind of line, so it's really good fun.
And apart from the hair donations, money has also been raised for the GBC Open Day. Also this week, a local priest has acted as interpreter during the first official visit to Pope Francis by the President of the United States. Monsignor Mark Miles is based at the Vatican and has previously acted as interpreter to Pope Francis, who is from Argentina. Barack Obama's visit to the Vatican formed part of the President's tour of Europe. For the rest of this week's news, you can also head over to our website, gbc.gi/news. Tune into Radio Gibraltar and GBC Television throughout the week for the very latest local news. And you can also follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Thank you for watching. Good night.